Welcome to Dietetics After Dark, your source for food-related crime, scandal, and fraud. Welcome, everyone. I am Sarah.
And I'm Becca, and we have a super spooky episode for you today. But first, Sarah, how are you feeling?
I am so excited for this. This has been a long time coming, and I'm so happy that we're finally sitting down and actually recording. How are you feeling?
Same. I'm really excited to be doing this too, finally. I'm currently sitting in my closet to get the best sound in my house. We moved into a house earlier this year, and we don't really have much furniture in many of the rooms, so this is the best place for me to be.
Honestly, audio quality sounds great, so I'm glad you're nestled in there. So cozy.
I also discovered that we have an attic that I did not know about.
That's so creepy.
It's just above me right now.
That's perfect for this vibe.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to have Dan take a peek up there later.
Oh my gosh. I'm scared for what you'll find.
Hopefully nothing. Anyways, back to today's topic. Sarah, it involves candy, children, and poison. Do you have any guesses of what it could be?
Yes, I do have some guesses, especially with the spookiest holiday on the horizon. I have a feeling it's something to do with Halloween.
Yes, you're on the right track, but there's a lot to it. For everybody listening, we're going to start today's episode off with Sarah giving us a little bit of a background on the tradition of Halloween, and then I will get into the nitty-gritty of the topic. But before we do dive in, I want everyone to know that all the citations and relevant links for anything mentioned in this episode will be in the episode description and in our show notes at thenutritionjunkie.com, and that's junkie with a Y. Also, the information in this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. If you're interested in medical nutrition therapy or personalized nutrition advice, please talk to a doctor or registered dietitian in your area. This podcast may contain coarse language, mature subject matter, and content of a violent or disturbing nature. Listener discretion is advised. Okay, Sarah.
Oh my goodness.
Take it away.
For some reason, my heart is pounding right now. I'm actually nervous.
I'm so excited for you.
All right. So Becca asked me to dive into the research and figure out when the heck and why the heck did we start dressing up our children in costume, sending them door to door at night to do the one thing we've told them never to do, take candy from strangers. It's the weirdest but most wonderful tradition with questionable safety standards, I would say. But as a kid, I absolutely loved Halloween. Becca, did you love Halloween?
Of course. Of course. Unlimited amounts of candy. Who doesn't love it?
For sure. And then, so the costume side of things was always my favorite. Did you have a favorite Halloween costume growing up?
Yeah, so I would say that my Halloween costumes actually got better as the years went on. Yeah, I don't know. Did you have a favorite childhood Halloween costume?
Yeah, my mom was a bit of a Halloween boss. She would make all our costumes. We'd pick them 2 months in advance, and then she'd sew them, and we'd go to Fabricland and pick out the perfect material. It was awesome. My all-time favorite was when I was a Hershey's Kiss, and she picked this really crinkly, super shiny silver material and made me a dress that was tight around my thighs, but then had a really big stuffed base to the dress. And then it went up and I had a pointy little hat on and the paper thing that said Hershey's Kiss. And it was so cute. I got a ton of compliments. So that's a good memory. What's your best?
That's so cute. Okay, so I have a few. I try to get pretty creative now that I can. But a couple years ago, Dan and I went as Rachel and Ross. From Friends.
Love that.
So we went as the episode where they get married in Vegas.
You're going to hate me. I'm not.
They have the Sharpie all over. No.
I know.
We should just stop this podcast now. I can't believe that.
Go on, though. I'll catch up. I'll watch Friends.
I feel like this is irrelevant to you, but yeah, we had the Sharpie on our face. So he had Ross written on his forehead, and then I had the mustache.
Aww.
But yeah, irrelevant to you.
No, I love it.
Maybe some people can relate.
I'm sure everyone can.
But my all-time favorite Halloween costume that nobody really understood was I went as a Freudian slip.
Oh my gosh. Tell me how. That's so good.
So I got a big white beard and a cigar. And I had a sticker that went on my like outfit that said, "Hello, my name is Freud." And then I wore a slip. So I was a Freudian slip.
That. Oh my gosh, a good pun costume. That is so good.
Yeah, but nobody got it.
No one got it. Even when you told them, everyone was like, what's a Freudian
but I feel
slip?
But anybody that didn't take Psych 101 was just kind of like, what are you talking about? Why do you have a beard?
Oh my God, I think that's so good. Okay, so let's talk Halloween. In modern day Canada, in a non-COVID year, of course, a typical Halloween looks something like this. It's October 31st. Kids, usually kids under 12, dress up in full Halloween costume, so like superheroes, princesses, lots of Annas and Elsas, whatever, hit the streets around sunset. And it's usually pretty cold. We are in Canada, so sometimes even snowing already. Your costume usually has to have like enough wiggle room for a winter coat or a heavy sweater, whatever. Young kids go door to door with their parents. Older kids usually roll together as a pack. But there is this unspoken rule that once you hit your teens, once you're 13, you probably should stop trick-or-treating. I actually remember going out, like, I'm pretty sure I was 12. It was the final year I went out, and I went out with all my friends from school, but like, we'd go up to people's doors and ring the doorbell, and you could just see that people were answering the door and being like, you look just on the cusp of too old. It's like they weren't as excited as they were for little kids, for sure.
No, I definitely went when I was like 15, 16.
Did
so
you?
We have that in common. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's way too old if you can drive. Okay, so it's a lot of fun for kids, clearly. Becca didn't want to stop. But that's not how it's always been. Trick-or-treating, as we know and love it, actually only became popular in North America in the 1900s, with the earliest North American records dating back to, get this, 1911 in Ontario, Canada.
Woohoo!
How cool is that? I couldn't believe it when I read that. I was like, yes, we've got insulin, we've got poutine, we've got Halloween, earliest records of Halloween. Lots of good stuff comes from Canada. So all of my information sources for this little history lesson are linked in the show notes, but I wanted to give a special shout out to a book called Halloween, From Pagan Ritual to Party Night by Nicholas Rogers. I got so much information from this book, and if you're looking for a really, a thick read on Halloween, this is the book for you. Some historians trace trick-or-treating back to ancient Rome, to something called the Feast of Pomona. Pomona was the goddess of fruit and seeds, but most sources actually link Halloween and the more modern trick-or-treating customs to a Celtic festival called Samhain. And if you're going to try to Google that, it's spelt Samhain, Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And I know that because I Googled it and practiced it. And Samhain celebrates the end of summer, and it welcomes the dark nights ahead. And it occurs every year at the end of October and early November. So this is a super spooky quote from that book that I mentioned by Nicholas Rogers. It was a period of supernatural intensity when the forces of darkness and decay were said to be abroad, spilling over from the Shay, the ancient mounds or burrows of the countryside. So very spooky origins. We've got darkness, we've got decay, we've got supernatural intensity. Sounds pretty Halloween-y to me.
Yeah, I have chills.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Your house is just really cold. And it's that attic.
Definitely. There's a draft coming from the attic.
So the Samhain festival is said to have pre-Christian roots, but in the 19th century, the Catholic Church made November 1st All Saints' Day. And All Saints' Day honors all saints of the church that have attained heaven. And this All Saints' Day has the same kind of spooky vibes as Samhain. And it's believed that the first actual trick-or-treating customs evolved from an All Saints' Day tradition where people would impersonate the souls of the dead and go around to receive offerings of food and drink on their behalf. Wow. Yeah, so that's interesting. I think it's also interesting that we think of Halloween as this pagan holiday, but it actually has significant Christian roots. There's another Christian tradition in 15th century Britain called All Hallow Tide, which spanned October 31st to November 2nd. And people would go house to house and collect soul cakes, which sounds so cute. And this practice was called souling. So that's definitely starting to sound a little more like the Halloween we know today, although I don't think many people would give out homemade cakes.